Italy brought a world-class squad to the 2002 World Cup. They finished second in the group, and they had to face South Korea as their opponent in the round of 16. There was little chance that South Korea could beat Italy's golden generation. But surprisingly, it happened thanks to a match full of bad decisions made by the referee, Byron Moreno. He awarded South Korea a controversial penalty in the first half, which eventually failed to capitalize, and later disallowed a possible golden goal by Damiano Tomasi for a non-existent offside, as well as showing a second yellow card to Francesco Totti for an arguable dive in South Korea's penalty area in the first half extra time while he was 37 meters away from play. Del Piero, Zambrata, and Maldini were all shown yellow cards, but Korean players all went unpunished. In the last minute of the game, Italy ultimately lost after An Young-hwan's golden goal winner. However, South Korea's controversy was not over when they faced Spain in the quarterfinals. During the match, Spain had two seemingly legitimate goals disallowed while they were flagged for offside on several occasions when the call looked extremely tight. The first disallowed goal occurred when a free kick flew into the South Korean penalty box. The ball bounced off Kim Tae-young's shoulder and into his own net. However, Egyptian referee Gamal Ahmed Al-Gandour ruled it out for a shirt pull by Ivan Helguera. Then, just minutes into extra time, another Spanish goal was disallowed. Joaquin beat his men and passed the ball brilliantly onto the head of Fernando Morientes, who headed the ball into the net. This time, the assistant referee raised his flag indicating the ball was out for a goal kick. Replays showed that clearly did not happen. The match ended in a 0-0 draw, and South Korea beat Spain 5-3 on penalties to send them through to the semifinals. Referee Danny Micheli denied Cristiano Ronaldo and Portugal a winning goal in their controversial 2-2 draw against Serbia in 2022 World Cup qualification. Serbian defender Stefan Mitrovic tried to block Ronaldo's shot towards goal in stoppage time, but despite his efforts, the ball had crossed the line. With no VR or goal line technology to review the incident, Micheli overlooked the play to the dismay of Ronaldo and his teammates. After the match, Ronaldo stormed off the pitch and threw his captain's armband on the floor. He also expressed his frustration on Instagram. This incident also cost Portugal direct qualification to the World Cup after losing to Serbia at home and failing to top Group A. The Gunners went into the second leg against Barcelona with a 2-1 aggregate lead after securing a famous win at the Emirates Stadium 3 weeks earlier. Lionel Messi put Barca 1-0 up in the second leg on the stroke of halftime with an exquisite goal, but Arsenal went 3-2 ahead on aggregate when Sergio Busquets turned the ball into his own net in the 53rd minute. Just a couple of minutes later, Van Persie found himself through on goal with only Victor Valdez to beat, but missed the target with his weaker foot. Referee Massimo Busacca then stunned the Dutchman by flashing a second yellow card, followed by a red card. Van Persie was penalized for shooting after the referee had blown his whistle. Despite pleading with the referee that he had not heard the whistle in front of a noisy crowd of 95,000, a horrified Van Persie was sent for an early bath. Barca went on to score 2 more goals through Xavi and Messi, sealing a 4-3 aggregate victory and booking their place in the Champions League quarterfinals at the expense of their 10-man opponents. Jose Mourinho was sent off after he angrily approached referee Jorge Figueroa when Betis' third goal was allowed to stand, even though Alex Moreno appeared to score with his hand. Roma's Lorenzo Pellegrini was also sent off following the incident, which gave Betis a 3-2 lead in the 57th minute. Gianluca Mancini then received a straight red card in the 65th minute, before Rick Karsdorp was also sent off with 10 minutes remaining in the match. Roma finished the match with just 8 men as the Italian side suffered a 5-2 defeat to Real Betis in a friendly match. In the 2010 World Cup quarterfinal match between Ghana and Uruguay, the competitive 90 minutes were marked by 2 magical moments, Sully Muntari's long-range goal and Diego Forlan's curling free kick. Ghana were looking to become the first African team to reach a World Cup semi-final when Suarez blocked Stephen Appiah's shot before holding out his hand to prevent Dominic Adia's goal-bound effort from going into the net. The Ajax striker was then sent off and celebrated at the mouth of the tunnel when Asamoah Gyan's penalty kick hit the crossbar. African hearts were broken after Sebastian Abreu ensured Uruguay's victory in a penalty shootout with Panenka. In February 2012, the San Siro was at a fever pitch as AC Milan and Juventus met in a top-of-the-table clash. Milan got off to a flying start with a goal by Antonio Nocerino after just 15 minutes. 10 minutes later, Suli Muntari headed in a rebound that clearly crossed the line before Gianluigi Buffon knocked it back out. Somehow, the perfectly positioned linesman didn't see it. At that point, the goal would have made it 2-0, and Milan would most likely have gone on to victory. Instead, Juventus got an equalizer and escaped with a point. However, the whole history could have been different if the Rossoneri had won. They should be 4 points clear of Juventus and hand the Bianconeri their first defeat of the season. On the other hand, at the end of the season, Juventus managed to win the Scudetto with a difference of 4 points. Cristiano Ronaldo scored a hat-trick in a 2016-2017 Champions League quarter-final win over Bayern Munich, which saw them progress 6-3 on aggregate. However, Ronaldo's strike that broke the deadlock in the 105th and 110th minutes of extra time was helped by an error in the linesman's call. For his second goal, replays showed the Portuguese striker was in an offside position when the ball was passed to him by Sergio Ramos. Apart from that, Ronaldo also appeared to be offside to score his third goal, which made the score 5-3 after Marcelo gave him a square pass when one-on-one with Manuel Neuer. It was a night full of controversial decisions from referee Victor Casai. He allowed Madrid midfielder Casemiro, who had already received a yellow card, to commit several fouls, but did not hesitate to give a second yellow card to Bayern's Arturo Vidal, who made a good tackle. Hoffenheim lost 2-1 at home to Bayer Leverkusen after a controversial ghost goal scored by Stefan Kiesling. Kiesling was seen with his head in his hands, apparently acknowledging a bad miss, but the ball found its way into the net through a hole in the side netting. Hoffenheim players protested the goal, but it was concluded that referee Felix Breich awarded the goal, and the German Football Association, DFB, stated that the results still stand. England's 2010 World Cup ended in a mix of humiliation and controversy as they were beaten by Germany in Bloemfontein. Germany's well-deserved victory will forever loom large in the minds of Fabio Capello and his squad at a moment they believe has robbed them of their hopes of reaching the last 8. In 1966, England benefited from a Geoff Hurst goal against Germany that famously went over the line on their way to winning the World Cup. But about 34 years later, it was England's turn to feel aggrieved. Frank Lampard brilliantly spotted Manuel Neuer off his line from 25 yards, firing a half volley past the German goalkeeper, only to watch his effort bounce off the crossbar. It seemed like the whole world saw his effort had crossed the line, and the England players raised their hands, half in celebration and half in confirmation, and the goal was never confirmed. England players and coaches, including David Beckham, led loud protests as the team left the pitch at halftime, but all to no avail. In the 2012-2013 Champions League round of 16, Manchester United were knocked out of the tournament in controversial fashion. Their last 16 tie with Real Madrid was finally poised after the first leg in Spain ended in a 1-1 draw. United looked on course for a place in the quarterfinals after Sergio Ramos' own goal just after halftime, but the tie was transformed after Luis Nani was sent off in the 56th minute. Nani was aiming for the ball when he made contact with Alvaro Arbeloa's chest. Referee Kunate Kakir blew the whistle to signal a foul, but then he shocked everyone when he produced a red card. United's players fiercely protested the decision. Sir Alex Ferguson was bursting with anger on the sidelines, but their protests were to no avail and United were reduced to 10 men. They couldn't hold on, with 2 goals in 3 minutes, scored by Luka Modric and Cristiano Ronaldo, sending United out of the competition. In the 1986 World Cup quarterfinals, the match between Argentina and England was held at the Estadio Azteca. The game was held 4 years after the Falklands War between Argentina and the United Kingdom, and was a key part in the already intense Argentina-England football rivalry. It was also a match which included two of the most well-known goals in football history, both scored by Argentina captain Diego Maradona. But although Maradona's second goal of the match summed up his brilliance and was better than any other goal he scored in his career, his first was an equally perfect example of his ability to create controversy and divide opinion. We are talking about the hand of God, as Maradona scored the opening goal after punching an aerial ball past England goalkeeper Peter Shilton. None of the officials spotted it, except the England players in the vicinity who began their desperate appeals to referee Ali bin Nasser. Referee said he did not see the infringement and allowed the goal. After the match against England, Argentina managed to win the World Cup by beating Belgium in the semi-finals and West Germany in the final. In the 2019-2020 Premier League season, Aston Villa and Sheffield United played out a goalless draw at an empty Villa Park. There might not have been any goals, but the controversy certainly exists. A goal line technology failure, which was not corrected by the video assistant referee, denied the Blades a full point after goalkeeper Ørjan Nyland appeared to clearly put the ball into his own net from an Oliver Norwood free kick in the 41st minute. Replays left no doubt that the entire ball had crossed the line, but referee Michael Oliver appeared to tell the players by pointing to his watch that technology had indicated it was not a goal. The official explanation from Hawkeye Innovations, the company responsible for the goal line technology, stated, "Match officials were not receiving signals to watches or earpieces because 7 cameras located in the stands around the goal area were significantly obscured by the goalkeeper, defender, and goalpost." In the end, Sheffield United and manager Chris Wilder felt they dropped 2 potentially crucial points in the race for a European spot. Meanwhile, at the end of the season, Aston Villa was able to survive with a difference of 1 point after drawing against West Ham United on the last day of the season. Bournemouth felt the brunt of the Hawkeye failure when Eddie Howe's side finished 1 point behind Villa and were relegated. After winning the first leg of the World Cup playoffs in Dublin, France looked like they would qualify for the 2010 World Cup. But Ireland had other ideas. They recovered from a 1-0 home defeat after a sensational equalizer from Robbie Keane at the Stade de France. Ireland made things difficult for France, with their team going into extra time as the better team, until the decision made Thierry Henry the enemy of all Ireland. The Frenchman blatantly used his hands to stop the ball from going out, not once but twice before setting up William Gallas' winning goal and sending France through to the group stage of the 2010 World Cup. In the 2015-2016 Champions League final against Atletico Madrid, Sergio Ramos opened the scoring in the 15th minute when he put the ball into the net from close range after Gareth Bale flicked Toni Kroos's free kick. However, the goal was slightly offside, and at that time, there was no VAR. Realizing the mistake at halftime, referee Mark Clattenburg did not hesitate to open up to Madrid defender Pepe once the game started again. After Pepe conceded a penalty in the second half, the Portuguese's protests were quickly quelled by Clattenburg's honest response. Pepe was furious and said to me in perfect English, "Never a penalty, Mark." Clattenburg then said to Pepe, "Your first goal shouldn't have stood." That was enough to make Pepe speechless. Then Antoine Griezmann's penalty kick hit the crossbar, and although Atleti equalized late on through Yannick Carrasco, Madrid prevailed in the penalty shootout and took home their 11th Champions League title. The Netherlands trailed for most of the game after Giovanni Dos Santos opened the scoring for Mexico in the 48th minute. And with Mexican shot stopper Guillermo Ochoa making impressive saves, the Oranje looked set to be knocked out. But 2 quick goals in the second half saw the Dutch reverse the result to qualify for the next round of the World Cup. After Sneijder scored an equalizer in the 88th minute, the match was marred by controversy as a late penalty gave the Dutch victory. Robben's dive gave his team a controversial penalty in the 91st minute, which Huntelaar converted to secure progress to the quarterfinals. Championship side Middlesbrough have to face Premier League giants Manchester United at Old Trafford in the 4th round of the FA Cup. After seeing Jadon Sancho open the scoring in the first half, Crooks pulled Boro level in the 64th minute. Matt Crooks' second-half equalizer was a memorable moment for Middlesbrough as the championship side pulled level with Manchester United at Old Trafford, but the goal wasn't without controversy. The ball bounced up and struck the forward's arm moments before the ball hit the net, but it wasn't ruled out. United players surrounded referee Anthony Taylor in protest, but the goal was awarded because VAR ruled that Watmore's handling of the ball was unintentional. The match would eventually go to a penalty shootout after the game finished 1-1 after extra time, with the championship side surprising the hosts to knock them out of the FA Cup on penalties. In March 2017, Barca beat PSG 6-1 in the second leg of UEFA Champions League last 16 tie, in the process overturning a 4-0 deficit from the opening leg. There were 3 particular errors made by Deniz Aytekin, the referee for the return leg at the Camp Nou, an earlier penalty won by Barca after Neymar was adjudged to have been fouled by a slipping Thomas Meunier, the Germans' failure to give away a penalty, and a red card against Barca in the 84th minute when Javier Mascherano denied Angel Di Maria a clear goal scoring chance in Barcelona's penalty box, and his decision to give the Catalans a spot kick 5 minutes later after Luis Suarez was brought down in the box late in the game with little contact. The 2006 World Cup final was Zidane's last match as a player. The final started with each side scoring within the first 20 minutes. France scored first through Zidane after referee Elizondo awarded a controversial penalty kick when he deemed Malouda to have been fouled by Materazzi. Materazzi redeemed himself for Italy when he leveled the score in the 19th minute. The French dominated the Italians despite the scoreline being 1-1. But then Zidane and Materazzi were jogging up the pitch alongside each other. They exchanged words briefly, and Materazzi pulled Zidane's jersey and disrespected his sister. This provoked Zidane to headbutt Materazzi's chest, knocking him to the ground. The referee then issued Zidane a red card in the 110th minute. After extra time, the score was still tied at 1-1, forcing the match to go to penalties, with Italy winning the title after beating France 5-3 in the shootout. At the start of the Premier League era, Arsenal's intense rivalry with Manchester United was well known and one of the fiercest in English football, thanks to both Sir Alex and Arsene Wenger. This showdown, however, was dubbed as the Battle of Old Trafford. The match was marked by a high number of fouls, 13 by United, 18 by Arsenal, and referee Steve Bennett gave each team 4 yellow cards. Vieira was booked in the 77th minute for a foul on Quinton Fortune, and received a second yellow card not long after, in the 80th minute after attempting to kick Van Nistelrooy. Despite Arsenal being reduced to 10 men, the score remained level as the game entered the final minute, when Diego Forlan went down in the penalty area due to a challenge from Martin Keown. The referee considered this as a foul and awarded a penalty. Van Nistelrooy took action to take the penalty, but failed to capitalize. The final whistle blew and the match finished as a goalless draw. After the final whistle, Van Nistelrooy was immediately confronted by several Arsenal players. Martin Keown jumped up next to Van Nistelrooy and brought his arms down hard on the Dutchman's back, while Lauren pushed Van Nistelrooy in the back. Ray Parlour and Ashley Cole offered verbal abuse. Van Nistelrooy did not react and was escorted away by Roy Keane. However, the incident escalated for both of them and made several Manchester United players involved in the situation. The following season, the two clubs were involved in another incident at Old Trafford, known as the Battle of the Buffet, also known as Pizzagate. Arsenal dictated much of the early game and created several opportunities, but as the match progressed, Manchester United were awarded a controversial penalty in the 73rd minute, when Wayne Rooney was deemed to have been fouled by Sol Campbell. Many Arsenal fans and players were dissatisfied, as they believed Rooney had dived and the penalty should not have been awarded. Van Nistelrooy converted his spot kick, sending Lehmann the wrong way to give United the lead. Rooney also scored a goal at the end of the match, making the score 2-0. This result ended Arsenal's record-breaking 49-match unbeaten streak. In the tunnel after the match, tempers boiled over between the staff of both clubs, and in the midst of the scuffle, a slice of pizza was thrown at Manchester United manager Sir Alex Ferguson. Former Arsenal midfielder Cesc Fabregas, who was 17 at the time, was reportedly the perpetrator. Mohamed Salah headed into the final on the back of a record-breaking first season at Anfield with 44 goals in all competitions in 2017 to 2018 season. However, the Egyptians' final was cut short after just 28 minutes following a tangle with Real Madrid captain Sergio Ramos. Ramos appeared to forcefully drag Salah to the floor as they tussled for possession, with Salah eventually leaving the field in tears with a shoulder injury. Sergio Ramos didn't just take Mohamed Salah out of the game, but he also may have had a big impact on Loris Karius' errors. In the 49th minute, Ramos was in the box and he elbowed Karius in the head, with the goalkeeper falling down. However, none of the referees noticed. Then, shortly afterwards, Karius gave the ball straight to Karim Benzema for Madrid's opening goal. Later, he spooned Bale's shot from long range into his own net and brought his Liverpool career to a dramatic end when the final whistle blew. Real Madrid won the match 3-1 and took home their 13th Champions League title. This match is often labeled as the most controversial Champions League match of all time. Barcelona somehow managed to qualify for the final after some controversial refereeing decisions. The match saw at least 6 penalty decisions denied to the Blues, although on replay, only 4 of the 6 were incorrect decisions. Essien's sensational volley gave them the lead before Abidal was sent off, and Barcelona were reduced to 10 men. Chelsea were minutes away from securing a place in the Champions League final when Iniesta crushed their hopes in injury time. After the match, both Drogba and Ballack were fed up with the referee's decision and decided to confront Overbo after the match, with Drogba even shouting at the camera.
Drogba getting himself into further trouble.
Things got worse when Drogba was banned for 5 matches, while Overbo later admitted his mistake. Well, this is quite emotional for the fans when their team suffers a loss because of the referee's mistake. Talking about emotional moments, I'm sure you will be moved by the emotional farewell of these football legends.